Almighty, Most High God, my tongue, God, my mind, God, my heart to be in alignment with your will. Have mercy. We are in the season of Gemini. Gem in I. Pool in you. The stars in your eyes. Gemini and HAARP. How they work together. Project JANUS. Reloaded. Now, we're going through a season right now where there's more activity by the things that HAARP has been designed to amplify. And those are demonic activities. Those are mind control based weapons and problems and situations. You'll find more contention as we come out of the so-called season of Taurus and into the so-called season of Gemini. And again, these are seasons, as it is written, that the stars and the heavenly above, the creations above, were given to us for signs and for a time. And yes, the Creator has created all things, and the Destroyer has created nothing. But what he has done is distorted some things so perfectly. Well, that's not really the proper term, because he does nothing perfectly, but he's distorted some things very well. And in his distortion, he has caused you to totally deny any benefit in certain things. And this is part of a mind control tactic as well. Astrology is one of those things, and also religion. For some of you, science. And so I wish to show and prove some things today, also based upon an experience that I had last night that helped me understand why the activity right now is so high. And again, it's not a scathing expose about the Gemini sign. It's the sign I would have been in had the old bird kept me in a few more days. And it's the sign of many good friends of mine, especially my cousin Dukester, who I may one day introduce y'all to, but you can't be allergic to cussing, because I'm telling you, he's going to cuss. But the air sign in HAARP, what Gemini represents to the elite who study the esoteric sciences, much more so than believers do. And there is a redeeming value to most of what the esoteric sciences say, because as I've said before, and I will say it again, no good lie cannot withstand the test of time without being first built on a foundation of truth. Otherwise, the lie would quickly be discovered and uncovered, and people would ignore it. So even the things that we are told, mostly by Pastor Porkchop and other Masonic mouthpieces, most of the things that we're told to have no part in or no dealing with, if you look, you will find. If you look, you will discover, like Johnny Guitar Watson, that there is something there that you need to uncover. And so we're going to look at Gem and I, the Gemini, and HAARP, and how they connect. First of all, a big part of HAARP that's not often spoken of is the fact that it not only controls weather, but if it's a vibrational frequency weapon, then it must also control thought. And some have talked about this. Dr. Nick Begich has talked about this as well. There are mind control machines. There have been mind control machines for many years. Dr. York used to talk to us about the mind control machine. He would contend that there was a mind control machine in the center of every major city, and that it would be turned up on Fridays. And as hard as that is to swallow or believe without some sort of paper trail, which you will not find, the Holy Spirit, which works through your soul and your mind, told me that it was in the center of the city of Detroit, near the School of Central, which ironically is a high school that is in the center of the city, and also the high school that was commandeered by the military during the Detroit riots in '67. But the air sign in HAARP, the heat has been turned up. As we go into the so-called season of Gemini, we're coming out of May. It's in the latter part of May, beginning around May 19th or 20th. Malcolm X is an example of a person who would have been born on the cusp between Taurus and Gemini. And Gemini is about communication, according to the ancients. Not your local astrologer, not your newspaper astrologer. This has nothing to do with anything. If you believe in the wise men of Scripture, then how can you say that there's no redeeming value to overstanding the movement of the stars? It is by the movement of the stars that they found where the Messiah was. So oftentimes by overstanding the movement of the stars, you will get a better picture of what's going on in the world around you, which is stolen by the Illuminati adage of as above, so below. It's reflected in the Messiah's prayer where he says, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Those things which we bind up in the heaven must also be bound up on earth. We first go to the spirit realm because the spirit realm trumps the physical. And for some of you who call yourself spiritual but are very aware of religiosity but not so aware of mind control nor demonology, sometimes you have that backwards. You believe that the physical realm is over the spirit realm, and they take full advantage of that. Hence the term, the greatest trick that the devil ever played was to convince the world that he did not exist. The powers that be count on the fact that Pastor Porkchop and the rest of the Masonic ministers have so turned you off from anything having to do with quote-unquote ministry or quote-unquote religion, that all of the concepts therein you will deny, you will ignore, and you will disrespect. However, I hope, and I did the same. So, I'm not condemning you for having that feeling. It's the feeling, it's the chess game. It's really the checkers level of it, though. It's the feeling that they want you to have. And if you think with a chess frame of mind, you won't accept that feeling no more than you will accept Pastor Porkchop. You will know that Pastor Porkchop could not deceive all of those people if there was not something true that he was building his lie upon. And you would seek out that part that is true. All of the parts. Not just the parts that resonate easily with you. Not the parts that are simply comfortable with you. When I was in my deception of believing that all religion and every concept therein should be denied, I had a lot of fun. And it's one of the main reasons why we want to deny all concepts that religion has been designed to hijack from our benefit. Because religion is about discipline. To be a disciple, one must first have discipline. And discipline is about rules and regulations. And a lot of us don't want rules and regulations of any kind. And it's the lawless one, aka the Antichrist. But it's better said a word for Lucifer. It's the lawless one who wants you to be lawless. It's the Huxley approach to the New World Order versus the Orwell approach. The Orwellian approach is, don't let you do nothing. Actually, it's a mix of both, because the Orwellian approach is not letting you do nothing, and the Huxley approach is let you do whatever you want to do. So when we're in the deception of there is no religion, we're in the Huxley portion of the chess game. Just as bad as being in the tightish, ultra sanctified, you can't wear dresses, you can't do this, you can't do that, of the Orwellian way of religion. The excess of law is as bad as the lack of law. There is a middle ground, a gray area. And don't just let the grays and the reptilians have it. So the jewel in you, this season is about communication. The Gemini is symbolized by the Roman god, false god, Mercury. And Mercury was about communication. Mercury as a chemical, as a metallic substance, it moves quickly. And Mercury was known, if you see the Flash, the character from DC Comics, I believe it was, the Flash would have the wings on his shoes, and that comes from Mercury. Mercury would have the wings on his shoes. It was to symbolize how quickly he could go and deliver a message. So Gemini is also known as the messenger, hence communication. So during this time, HAARP, which is a communication device, it communicates by way of frequency and vibration. It communicates not simply to the lower levels of the ground in order to create earthquakes, nor to the higher levels of the atmosphere in order to create thunderstorms and tornadoes, but it also communicates directly to the mind. And also, ironically, the mantra of Gemini is I think. Each sign or season that they call a sign is also a there's also a mantra connected to that particular season. Taurus, I have. Aries, I am. I went through those on the astrology video. But Gemini, Scorpio, I create. Gemini is I think. So it's about thought. Thoth, where we get the word thought. And Thoth was the deity, the Egyptian Kemetian deity over magic and religion, because they go hand in hand. But again, some of the things that we call religion and science today, in the ancient times, they would have called magic. So be cautious about being trapped in the trick of semantics, the way that people word things differently but have the same meanings. Sometimes simply because of the definitionary of the dictionary, we're lost in the sauce due to the definitions that we hold true. Or because of our particular point of view, we have certain definitions for things. And then you may look at a person who may call themselves pagan, not a believer, and they will have another set of definitions, but for the same things. For instance, isn't karma akin to you reap what you sow? That's an example. So again, all of the things that you find in so-called religion are not to be discarded. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. That's part of the problem reaction solution, or synthesis, thesis, antithesis, synthesis, or right, left, middle dynamic. Both the right and the left, like in the red and the blue corners of boxing, are both refereed by a man in the middle. So communication is key during this time because it is also associated with the element of air, Gemini. All of the signs are also associated with one of four elements, we are told: earth, air, water, and fire. So the season of Gemini is attributed to air. It's a season high in thought, but also thought process. And ironically, Andre 3000, who featured on the song Thought Process, was a Gemini. He was the Gemini of Aquemini. It's high in thought process, and it's also high in dreams and visions. Again, things that have to do with the thought or the mind. The first three signs, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, are very much equated with and related to the mind and the thought. So during this season, you have magic, you have thought, you have dreams. Also, the heat has turned up. Just as cold weather affects behavior, so does hot weather. The energy from the sun pumps down to everyone, and it gives you a certain, sunny days. That's how they start off Sesame Street. It gives you a certain cheeriness. But in that same cheeriness, more people are exposing themselves. More people are mixing and mingling, doing their thing. Again, a sign of the twin. There's more going on. Activity begins with twins. If you have twins in the womb, there's more going on. And so with this increased activity, which is by the will of the Most High, the evil ones who copy the ways of the Most High also use this as a sign to increase their activity, especially with their HAARP machinery. And you'll find it in the behaviors of individuals around you as you go out into the public. And again, duality is the big thing that Project Janus and mind control in general, the MK Ultra program, Project Umbrella, the COINTELPRO program, they are largely steeped in duality, the importance of doubling you, or the double U, okay, which is called in French double V or double V, but it's about creating a double U. And George W. Bush, during his White House Correspondents' Dinner, where they cracked jokes and whatnot, he featured a double of him, a WW. And they cracked jokes between one another, and it was very hard to tell one from the other. I believe I may have a thumbnail to use that, but I'll probably use another one. But anyway, the heat has turned up also because time is short. There is an enemy. And for those of you who believe that there is an Illuminati or some sort of secret force or power that be, or powers that be, as it may be, but yet you don't believe in the opposite, the equal opposite, being a higher power, you lost in the sauce. You're in a real jam. And I'm going to tell you, that's part of the Pastor Porkchop scam. They don't want you to believe. They want you to believe that the negativity rules, but that there's no equal opposite force of positivity. And that equal opposite force, just like the negative force, is outside of yourself. And these individuals use magic and powers outside of themselves. They have to do rituals because they're bringing in something from other dimensions, okay, into this dimension. So it's something outside of themselves from which they get their power. And again, that's not a created philosophy. It's a bite. It's a copy. And the copy is off of the other side, the opposite side. There is a force outside of yourself, outside of your intellect. I could give you a math problem that you can't do. Your intellect is not superior. But there is a spirit, a Holy Spirit, for lack of a better term, a Ruach HaKodesh, of the higher power that we all share and access without doing the ritual, without wearing something in particular around your neck, without belonging to a particular religion or sect. Okay? And that way was also exemplified by the Messiah, who was no religion. I repeat, you can't find me the religion of the Messiah. He was raised up in a particular religion, as were some of you. But the choice that he made was by the Creator, by the will of the Creator, to reveal the problems in those things. And to, he said, in respect of the elders, he said, to not take away the law, but to fulfill it. And therein you find evidence of the fact he wasn't cool with it just as it was. Also the fact that when he went into the temple, he went in with braided cords, and he whooped that because they was in there clowning. And today they're in there clowning. And their clowning has effectively kept many of you from seeing the power that is in the study of the Messiah and the prophets that foretold him. So I think is the mantra for Gemini, which is about the mind. Also about the arms, which is key in wheeling and dealing. Wheeling and dealing is duality, because trade is between two. So Gemini is also high in finance. You Geminis, you be out there getting that money. No offense, Leos, don't be up in arms. Aries, Scorpio, Taurus, Pisces, we all have our different ways that we, that the seasons that we came out in created us to have certain distinct ways that we get commerce. But Gemini is the sign, or Mercury is the deity that is over the planet that controls, they say, the flow of willing and dealing, money, hustling, making trades. Now, the trade aspect and the twin aspect has many different applications. One of the applications of that twin or trade aspect is, for instance, the use of fakebook or Facebook, because the C is either a K or a S. You can't find me a sound where it does not make a K sound or a S sound. Try it. But fakebook is used to trade one you for another. So is the spirits that you intake into your body. The drugs, the dope game, which is about willing and dealing, is also about trading the original you, or the you that the Most High created, with the you that the drug chemical has created. And it all begins with how you think. As a man thinketh, so shall he be. And a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. The enemy of our soul, who has enmity with us, the enemy of our soul enters at the top. There's a reason that the Most High, the Creator, created us with the brain at the top of this thing. Because everything starts up here. My old dude used to say, mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. Everything begins up here. And drugs, whether they're prescribed by a pharmacist or prescribed by Pookie and Man down the street, drugs are designed to change your mind. Reminds me of an Eddie Kendrick song. Girl, you need a change of mind. So the enemy enters at the top by way of the mind. And even when I had the first of my dramatic experiences encountering extra-dimensional beings after not believing that they could exist, because Pastor Porkchop and Masonic ministers helped me to believe this, as well as the Nation of Islam and the Gods and Earth, they all gave me beliefs that things that you can't see can't be. But in my first experience with that, when the thing left the individual, it came directly to me, and it entered me by way of my mind. Now, it's fear, because as in the vampire movie analogy, which we've spoken of before, so I won't go off into it, but as in the vampire movie analogy, you must allow it in. There must be a gateway. Fear can be a proper gateway. So do not fear. Have no fear, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but the power of love and of a sound mind, and perfect love casteth out all fear. But it's through the mind that the rest of you changes. I believe it was P-Funk who said, free your mind and the rest will follow, as In Vogue adjusted it. So everything begins in the freeing of the mind. This is why Yeshua said, Jesus the Messiah said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. He didn't say you shall eat the truth. He didn't say you shall smell the truth or you shall smoke the truth. He said you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So it's by your mind that you have freedom or bondage. There are many things in this realm that are designed to put a bind on your mind. Many things, from the dope and the food that we eat. Some people go to Old Country Buffet or Golden Corral, and their mind takes them over, and then their stomach follows. You've ever heard the expression, my eyes were bigger than my stomach? Your eyes and your mind are directly connected. When you see certain things, it will affect your mind. What affects your mind will affect what you say, and what you say will affect what you do. Thought, word, and action. So it is important that the heart be turned up during this time period. With thought energy is high in the air, you will find not only strange weather anomalies as you're seeing across the nation and across the world, but you will also find in urban communities, you will find more contention. This is where strife and fights and arguments and whatnot begin to ramp up. Also, if you even look at the example of Brother Malcolm, who was known for many admirable things. He was also known for being good at putting up a great argument, coming out of the symbol of the stubbornness energy of Taurus and into the thinking or the mind-based energy of Gemini. And the contention, because it takes two, baby. It takes two to have an argument or a debate. Does it not? At least two. If you argue and debate with yourself, I don't know what to say for you. But this is a time also where you will find more mind control. You will find more mind control stories in the news. You will find more songs brought out for mind control. Michael Jackson's album dropped during this time. Also the performance that was either done by a twin of Mike or it was done by an alive Mike as opposed to a dead Mike. Again, twin, duality, equal opposites. You will find that during this time there will be more mind control. The mind control will be stepped up, and that's okay because we're equipped. As long as we're not game goofy goobers, as long as we think chess, not checkers, we can get around this thing. And respectfully to Brother Etienne, bonjour, and to Papa TK, and Poplar, it's not going to be that easy. This is more to Brother Etienne and Poplar. Well, Brother Etienne, this portion. It's not going to be that easy. Research the Boule. There will be no paper trail. You will not be able to find out whether people like Dick Gregory or Maya Angelou or Bill Cosby, other people that we looked up to, are involved in this program by any paper trail. Where would you find the paper trail? On Google? But what you will have to do is be able to discern. Test the spirit by the spirit. You have it in you, the same as I do too. The Creator is no respecter of persons. There's no way I could have it and you don't. But what we do is we cut off our ability to access it when we stay stuck in our own mind and thought. And that goes to anyone who wants to believe that by throwing out all of religion, you will find yourself free. If you throw out all of the, and again, don't get caught up in semantics. If you throw out all of the concepts that religion has hijacked and laid claim to, you will miss the truth. That's how it's designed. Why you think they let all them jive preachers and ministers get up there and disrespect the name of the prophets, in the name of the Messiah, in the name of the Most High? Why do you think they do that? It's so that at the end of the day you'll say, well, you know what? Can't none of this be right. I'm going to walk by my own sight. And when you do that, you'll be lost and devoid of light. Because that's how it's designed. And I can tell you, and I will tell you more about that if you just bear with me a second. So there will be no paper trail. There will be no FBI files. Those days are done. We got COINTELPRO. We got evidence of MK Ultra. We got evidence of Project Paperclip. We got evidence of Project Umbrella. But nowadays, that valve has been closed. That was one of the jobs of elite black member, though his African American status is really questionable. Obeezy. Some of y'all call him Barack. But part of his job was to come in, and where George W. Bush played one twin, the bad cop twin, who would overtly let you know, I'm shutting this down, I'm shutting that down. Obeezy came in as the good cop twin, coming in giving you a cigarette, giving you a Coke and a smile, while all the while pulling and destroying every single file. So you won't find those things, not the way we used to could do. Okay, so you have to rely in the spirit, the spark of the Most High that's inside of you. But that's not all of the Most High. You make mistakes. There's something that will cause you to make no mistakes. No mistakes allowed. And that thing you have to access by moving aside the part of you that's proud, the ego, the pride, the belief that it's about me. It's all about me. I can reach I can reach Godhood. That's the Luciferian lie personified. And they fed it to the white side as well as they did to the black side. Those who represent the black side of that belief system, the Prince Hall Masons or the Boule, are the black leg of the Illuminati, to whom the ball has been passed. Again, you have the twin duality, the black and white chessboard dynamic that's represented by Boaz and Jachin or Jachin. And those two pillars. Those two pillars also represent the same as the black and white, which also represents the dark and the night, the dark and the light, to be of understanding and to be of overstanding, to be spiritual and to be physical, to be black and to be white, to be male and to be female. Controversy. Prince was also born under the Gemini sign. So, to you brothers, my brothers, I love you. But don't give Pastor Porkchop no victory and no props. Because their job was to discourage you from believing that there could be any redeeming value in what your grandma lived a full and probably productive life believing. While we, on the other hand, are struggling in new and fantastic ways. As they've taken it out of the school, they've also replaced it with falsehood in the church. And if there was no value to this, why not leave it in the school? If school is designed to make you a fool, why not leave it inside the school? When you look at South Park and you look at Family Guy, why don't they clown on Buddha? Why don't they clown on Muhammad? So, oh, well, they scared to clown. They ain't scared of nothing. They clown on everybody. Don't you think that the mighty pink hand would come down there and blow that place up if they was really real opposition? The only thing that they truly oppose and make light of is the image and the memory of the Messiah, who, by the way, came in the flesh. And if he came in the flesh, that flesh had a color, and that color was black. So as a black man, to get you to not believe in him is really a victory for the enemy. Because out of all of the idols that you wish to look up to, all of the boule idols that have been placed before you by books, by magazines, by TV shows, by movies, and documentaries, such as Hidden Colors, but all of these boule idols that have been placed before you that you will defend staunchly, you don't understand the one most important black figure in history that you should learn from, because they keep them a mystery. And that's part of a game. Don't fall for that part of the game simply because you don't want to fall for the church or religion part of the game. I didn't fall for the church or religion part of the game. What is my religion? Have mercy. But yet, I try to have sense enough to say, well, if it's true, I'm going to work with it. Because the Messiah said, you should know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. He didn't say you should know Catholicism, and Catholicism will set you free. He didn't say you should be Baptist, and being a Baptist will set you free. Do you understand? So to believe that you can go to any particular gang and get all of the truth, use a goof. But anyway, so forgive me. Be cautious of the prideful mind, the ego, and the disrespect for authority of something higher. Because all of this is designed to slickly put you in the trick bag of man do as thou wilt, which is their way. It's why the men like men, why they sacrifice babies, why they sacrifice loved ones, why they can do everything that they want to do, and some things they don't want to do. But why they can be so lawless, it's through that lawlessness. You know, some of you will ask for a savior. You want somebody to save you, but you don't want a Lord. You don't want nobody to tell you what to do and what not to do. The Messiah is my Lord and Savior. And I'm going to tell you, I ain't no game goofy goober. I tried these things out in practical application in real-time situation. And I'm not the only one. So, this season is about more change, more difficult adjustments. It is my contention that you'll hear more things concerning the banks and whatnot during this season, because Gemini is the season that rules over that. One reason why when you're watching the game, you'll see you'll see a JANUS, I believe it's a financial company, commercial, with the symbol of the Roman two-headed god of Janus. And again, Gemini means twins, and so does June. So this is really more important to them than other signs that may have duality. I mean, the Taurus has two horns, the Aries has two horns, okay? But June is more important to them because of the sun and their sun worship, and there being more energy to be drawn from the sun, okay? And also because more people are out and active. So if I have a mind control machine pumping in certain areas that are popular or highly populated, I can catch more people when it gets nice out. It may be nice, it may not be nice, but June is going to be hot soon. So that's one thing about June. Also, June is the performance sign, again, which is why you see the laugh now, cry later symbol, which many Geminis will get tatted up on them. The duality symbol, one meaning comedy, one meaning tragedy. Because possession, which we're going to go into now, and I'm going to give you a great little story and testimony concerning that, respectfully, because possession is all about duality, creating two yous, okay, which is one reason why this season was brought in by way of pop culture, P-O-P, P-O-P, pop culture, the same word forward and back. The pop being the father of lies, the father of the children of the world. We are the world, we are the children. One reason why pop culture brought you the king of pop, and you questioned for days whether he was dead, whether he was alive. Was it real? Was it Memorex? Have mercy. So there will be more difficult adjustments. There will be a scrambling. Willing and dealing is about scrambling. You know, that handoff. There will be some more financial turmoil, I believe. And there will be another push toward the government placing us all into Project Janus. That's the goal of the mind control. That's the goal of the mind control machines. It's the goal of the mind control music. It's the goal of the mind control ministers. It's the goal of the mind control movies. It's the goal of the mind control drugs. It's the goal of the mind control symbols on your clothes and cars and the foods that you eat. It's the goal of the mind control to create a possession in you. MK Ultra was not simply about simple mind control, as we explained in the almost 3-hour documentary, so we won't go back through all of that. But MK Ultra was not simply about splitting of the mind into multiple personalities or into different identities, because they could not achieve what they were doing without the assistance of the occult military complex. The military is indeed in league with the occult. The pharmaceutical companies are in league with the occult. The business world is in league with the occult. One of the things that you learn when you pledge to these brotherhoods is not just simple Simon stuff, baby boy. Once you pass that degree, they're going to show you some things. The Stepford Wives movie and the Stepford Wives phenomenon, because some of you may know, it might be your moms or grandmoms. Some of you may know some women who were married to Masons or some Eastern Stars, or just simply married to controlling men who were part of the Masonic Brotherhood or other brotherhoods, and that woman was taken down through there. She was essentially mind controlled. She was made to accept things that no free-minded woman would accept because of the duality that was created in her, and that is all it takes to be possessed. A little duality. Just think, you don't want no drink if it don't change the way you think. You say it's too weak. I need something stronger. The changing of your thinking, whether it's by, well, maybe I'll stay with him just because he's getting that money, or if it's by, man, this really working right here. Whether it's by the Gans or whether it's by the Jins, either way, to change your thinking is what brings you into the vibration that's necessary for extra dimensional entities to enter into you. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in them, they believe in you. And they're looking for you to take your mind off of them. You know how easy it is for you to be in duality? You begin listening to a song on the radio. Let's say you're sober as a soldier. You start listening to a song on the radio. Next thing you know, you're somewhere that you're not. You're driving down 7 Mile Road in reality, but you're thinking back to something that happened on 6 Mile. You're there. You're in two places at once. And once you get in that duality, and no, that does not mean that all music is evil. Let him talk to you in your spirit about what you're going to do about it. Okay? But just know that it's the truth. The enemy don't need for you to sign your name in blood. The enemy don't need for you to sacrifice a baby. The enemy don't need for you to stand outside of a giant owl and chant some crazy stuff. The enemy don't need for you to go out into the forest and cut a cat up. All he needs for you to do is to open your mind and split you in two. Once you've been split in two, and that's even with fake book, because you get on there and you feel some type of way. It's worse than having a cup of courage. You get typewriter tough. You start saying and doing all type of stuff. If the person was there, y'all would be able to have a better understanding and communicate and see their eyes and their expression. Y'all probably wouldn't even get on that level. But it's something about the written word, the words that we spell, the spelling, is very telling. And it keeps you from being able to express other things. How much of communication is nonverbal? Somebody write down the statistic, the percentage. But so much communication is nonverbal. A person can tell you something, and by you looking at their eyes and their movements and whatnot, you can say, well, you know what, that's a lie. But if I write it down, you don't have the benefit of using that to glean from. So you be cautious of the different ways, especially during Gemini days, that you allow for yourself to be split in two, or to have two opposing beliefs. That's doublethink, as in the George Orwell novel 1984. Doublethink is key to mind control, to control, period. Doublethink, again, can be achieved through either way, the Orwellian way or the way of Aldous Huxley, who wrote the book A Brave New World. And in that way, he said, give them everything. Don't keep nothing from them. Give them everything. And they'll be so confused by having too much from which to choose that the next thing you know, they'll be easily used. And that's the goal. Mind control. One extreme or the other extreme. The red, the blue. The black, the white. I'm this, I'm that. I'm this and that. No, you're not. A million dudes got rap names. You never put out a record. That's just a form of the enemy slickly making you split yourself into two different people. So we got street names or gang names or nicknames. And Old Nick is one of the words that was used in Old English for the enemy, so-called loser for Lucifer, the devil. My old granddad used to hate nicknames. He was the only person, I don't know how it sounded to hear my mama say Theodore. He was the only person that would say Theodore. And when they'd tease him about it, why you don't call him Ted like everybody else, or Theo? He said, and he studied all of these occult and esoteric things. He said, I don't like nicknames. And he wouldn't elaborate on it. He was that type of guy, that type of man. So ignorance is bliss. And paying attention costs. So I'm speaking to those like me, like I was, lost in the sauce, in the same way. The worst way of being lost is when you don't see that you lost. It's better that you can say, well, you know what? I don't know. Or, you know what? I'm still learning. When you believe that you got it all together, please believe you've been taken apart. You better know that there are things you can learn each and every day from other people's experiences, because they're not in the box that you're in, the community that you're in, the family that you're in, the discipline that you're in, the religion that you're in, the occupation that you're in, which is used to box you in, to keep you in a particular place, make you a square, L7. Interesting, Masons call themselves squares. Square, square biz. You should be well-rounded. 360 degrees, going both ways, seeing all of it positive, and then seeing all of it negative. 360 plus 360 is what? I'm 720, honey. So we don't like to deal with these things, of course, and that's all right. There's a force out there that is designed to blind us from thinking with that type of mind, to make you believe that you're superior to someone else because you know what you know, or you were taught what you were taught, or you were raised by the family you was raised by, or you've accomplished what you've accomplished. Have mercy. Please believe it. Okay? But that makes you ignore other people. Part of arrogance is ignorance. What you do when your nose up high. Some people look down on others. Some people totally ignore that they're there. You ever seen somebody get a couple dollars in their pocket and act like they don't see you no more? That's the same way. They have now been split in two. That them that knew you still knows you, but there's a new them coming into play. Someone will say it, I'm a changed man. Well, how so? Have mercy. So to ignore that which is true keeps you in a state of happy, where you can be blissful, not joyful. Where you can be blissful, simply enjoying your reality as you see it. And that's a way to play. You shouldn't play with yourself. You really shouldn't. And you shouldn't run from things. It's a way to run too. I don't want to deal with that person I used to know. They might bring me back to the reality of who I really am. So you run. And you play like a little child. I don't play for UNLV. I don't play for nobody. Quit playing. And paying. Start paying. Paying attention. Paying attention costs. It might make you hurt a little taste to find out something ain't exactly the way that it was presented in front of your pretty face. Take the pain. No pain, no gain, said Betty Wright. Take the pain. You can do it. It might take some time. I don't feel like looking that up. Okay. You be a game goofy goober as much as you want to. That's free. So now, let's talk a little bit about the experience last night. And with respect to those of you who are still battling things and to this battle that we wage, I'm going to talk in some generalities, but you can please believe that I'm not trying to deceive. And these are things, like I said before, some things I'm still learning. Some things I present to you are things I've known for years. And some things I don't know. But when I find something to be true and I've tested it out, then I feel it's my responsibility to share it with you. Just in case you might bump up against it too and not know exactly what to do. So it's been my purpose to turn this ministry in the direction of deliverance, to focus upon one of the one things that Pastor Porkchop and them don't want to put their manicured hands on, and that is the deliverance of individuals, setting the captives free, meaning freeing people who have been effectively affected by mind control, aka possession. And this has been a fight I've been in for some years. So there are some things that I've learned, and there are some things I have yet to learn. We're talking about extra dimensional beings that have been around thousands of years. But that's why we're supposed to have a guidebook. We're supposed to have an example. Yeshua gave some of the most quoted examples of how to deal with extra dimensional beings that you will ever find on the planet. More so than you'll find in New Age. New Age will tell you, quote unquote, New Age will tell you, as will religion, will tell you to fight fire with fire. You know, use your cross. Well, that's symbology, symbolism, idolatry. Where they'll say, well, rub two crystals together and say, nam, yang, ring, yang. Again, you're using magic versus magic. Last time I checked, if you fight fire with fire, everything gonna burn up. So you have to use an equal opposite force. Of course, you're talking about spirit beings or extra dimensional beings where you have to go to the spirit realm to get your help. And it's truly the ruler of that spirit realm that's going to do all the heavy lifting. It's only asked of us that we use this raggedy mouth of ours. Because it says that in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. The power of life and death is in your tongue. Speak those things that are not as though they were. Speak it into existence. So be careful what you say. Because there are extra dimensional beings waiting for you to say the wrong thing to give them the right. Just like the vampires waiting for you to say, come on in. The devil will take it any way he can. It don't have to be fair. He will accept your inadvertent agreement with him. That's right. Watch how you put others down and yourself down. You put yourself down, you really open it up, because there are particular extra dimensionals that vibrate for particular psychological issues. There's an anger spirit. So you allow for yourself to be made angry. Who made you? The Creator or Keisha? Keisha made you angry. Don't allow for yourself to be made nothing. Don't take a substance to make you nothing. This right here, this is supposed to be the dial of the receiver, if you're a believer. Now that dial get to turning like you got it on scan when you take some of these things and substances created by and for man. Have mercy. And that's that GAN. The things that are out here now for the young people are more directly aimed at their mind. When I was 16, 17, and we were smoking joints and whatnot, well, nobody talking about popping no pills. That was not even in our vocabulary. That wasn't in our culture. But you see how slowly but surely the enemy moves you to a certain direction and then swarms over your head like a vulture, waiting for you to kill yourself. Kill yourself. Stick yourself. Waiting for you to open up your own mind. He can't open it up. He can't just bogart you. Now, there are cases, though, however, where you are made less able to control your thinking than others. And that's the job of the satanic ritual abuse community who take children, as Crowley directed them. And of course, he got his knowledge from extra-dimensional beings and those before him who practiced the arts before him, but he made it famous. But they take children because there's ways you can play with the child's mind and cause them to have fear that you might not can stir up no fear once you've crossed a certain year. But in a child, especially in a baby, whose subconscious mind is more out front than his conscious mind, babies can remember things and recall things that they can't talk about. So as they grow up, they're unable to talk about some of the trauma that they went through. And this was the case of the individual who the Most High willed that I bump into. And we call it deliverance, not exorcism or to exercise. Because guess what? To exercise makes you stronger. So if you exorcise a demon, what you think you're doing? Have mercy. Now, the spirit realm and necromancy, demonic activity are all strong during this time. This is also the time in which you find Memorial Day, which is all about what? Honoring the dead. Well, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't keep the memories of your loved ones tucked lovingly in your head. But the enemy of our soul wishes to try to use those memories as a form of necromancy instead. You have more higher activity going on concerning the spirit realm and the spirit beings. And so this is the time in which this individual came to me with a very severe case like Emily Rose status. A very severe case where tears of blood streamed down her face. I'm looking dead at her on the Skype. From out of nowhere, her head begins to bleed. And all of this was due to the scriptures I was led to read. Believe it. I don't do this because I'm trying to convince you or nothing. I'm trying to help you. If I can't steer you strong, I ain't going to steer you wrong. You know, but I get how you get trapped in that box of books. How you get trapped by the Pastor Pork Chop lie. How they drive you away from that which is your own. So that should you come up against something demonic or something in the spirit realm, you will have nothing to help you but your feeble mind. Those things are too old. They've been around too long. Don't you know that your brain is made of flesh? You can't rely on your flesh to handle them. That's flesh. It is. Some people eat cow brain and pig brain. It's edible flesh. It's nothing but flesh. But your spirit is not trapped or bound by meat. Have mercy. And your spirit should be connected to the Most High, to the Creator. And by that connection, the same way they got their connection to the Most Low, the Destroyer. See, that's the equal opposite. That's the only true duality that you need to really deal in. When that fire is coming at you, you use the water. Interesting, water is representative of the spirit and the esoteric. And they call it holy water, not holy fire. I have some issue with the young people who say that they're on fire for God these days. That's a new term. I didn't hear Grandma and them say that. They didn't say nothing about no being on fire. Being on fire was not good. But again, you know, everything that the new school do ain't wrong, but everything the new school do ain't right. Pay attention. It costs. It costs to separate this from that, to study to show thyself approved, to look at this and then look at that. It costs. It costs you time. It costs you energy. It might cost you your belief. You might be scared. Well, I'm going to believe something different if I look at that. Don't be scared. If you're scared, call the police. Have mercy. We'll start there and won't be none. But anyway, this individual was so shook. Their countenance, meaning the expression on their face, was filled with fear and trauma. And the fear and trauma was what the extra dimensional was using to stay around her. And it was almost futile for me to ask her, because you have to take part in your own deliverance, to not be fearful. Because she could see them, you know, as opposed to I'm only seeing them manifest through her. And I mean, they manifested through her too. You talk about a mean mug. That face contorted in ways that the muscles of your face could not purposefully do. So to those who don't believe in demons and spirits and whatnot, I'm speaking especially to you. Neither did I. But my mama didn't raise no fool. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Now I know. Okay, it's something to that. That's the part that Pastor Pork Chop and them wanted to keep me from. Aside from the fact that the Messiah and the prophets were my black heroes. Have mercy. Not Dick Gregory. Not Maya Angelou. I'm sorry to say that. Look at the Boule and the Eastern Stars and then come back and holler at me. Until then, I ain't got no words for you. Your mind is below your spirit. The mind and the brain is flesh. You have to let your spirit come out. That's why fasting, not feasting, is fresh. You got to fast sometimes to cast out certain things. The Messiah said when they asked him, how come we couldn't cast out this one? And they was casting them out left and right. It's not hard to cast them out. You don't have to be a perfect man to cast them out. Like handling a pit. If you know how to handle a pit, it ain't going to bother you. You ain't scared. But people don't understand how to handle a pit. So they see a pit and they ready to run down the block. There's a way to handle these things. And it's not by my strength, not by my might, not by my faith, not by my intellect, but by the spirit of the true and living. By the word that he left behind. By the example of the Messiah. That you understand how to deal with these things. First and foremost. It's written in there. That could not be taken away because that was God inspired. The part that was inspired by the Creator could not be taken away by the destroyer. Does that penetrate through your meathead? If there's a Creator, what he inspire can't nobody mess with. Have mercy. It's unfadable. That's a calculator. You can count on it. So, for those of you who believe in prayer, and you're not goofy goobers out there, do pray. Pray for the will of the Most High to be done in this person's life. He wills that none should perish. Pray that they be set free from this fear, from this demonic entity, from these extra-dimensional beings that are tormenting her. Pray that the Holy Spirit come upon me and that the Creator give me the words, give me the prayers, and let me be as instrumental as I can be. Who am I? Ain't nobody. But he put this on my plate as a challenge. So pray for me to be successful in this challenge, not on my behalf alone, but on behalf of the individual. And we'll just say, pray for Kim. And, y'all know my name. Pray for me too. I believe in it and I need it. I need all the prayer I can get. And I pray for y'all. When y'all ask me to pray for you, when I type down those things, I don't just type them down because they sound slick. That's how the Holy Spirit talks to me and through me. Because we serve a Creator. And he is creative. And when it's that sweet, it can't be nobody but the Creator that got it. Please believe it. Be about it or be without it. Okay. So something is coming. There's a shifting. There's a changing. Whenever you see a shift or a change, they say it's been a long time coming, but change is going to come. In the midst of change, there's turmoil. First, there's a little turmoil. This is where they get the adage from chaos to order. In order for the teacher to say, y'all hush up, they got to be clowning. That brings a new order. So there is a certain clowning going on in the spirit realm, as above, so below. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Also down here in the physical realm. So you be cautious and pray for yourself. Pray for your loved ones. If you don't believe in it for yourself, forget you. You might not believe in medicine. But wouldn't you rather, I know some of you would rather your mama, your grandma take her medicine than not. So you help with this spiritual medicine out here. Because there are a lot of people who are in bondage and trapped. Because there are a lot of forces, a lot of weapons, ELF towers, cell phone towers, Wi-Fi, that the prince of the power of the air uses to try to keep you in a James 1 and 8 double-minded state. And thought is very important. Thoughts determine your actions, Proverbs 4 and 23. The cost of conscious thinking, Proverbs 23 and 7. Thought control, Ecclesiastes 11 and 10. Practice thought control, Colossians chapter 3, verses 1 through 12. Things worth thinking about, Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. And again, if you are not a warrior, Don't criticize warriors for going into the depths, into the darkness, jumping into the pit of vipers to cut some heads in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Messiah, Yahweh Shah, Yahshua HaMashiach. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. You stand back and you be cheerleaders. We need you too with your optimism. But everybody's designed in a different way, in a different frame of mind for this warfare. If we all stay in our lane and play our positions, we'll win. Because guess what? We can't lose what we use. So this was a special message from the Most High, the Creator, through this speaker, not a spectator. I get in there. I get busy, as I'm directed to. It's not all about this YouTube thing. You know, boots on the ground. Gators on the ground. Shalom.